Welcome to Larry King Now. I'm Tom Green, filling in for Larry, and today's guest is singer and actor Nick Lachey.
Not many people have the courage to refer to me as an actor, so
yeah.
thank you very much.
Do you like acting? Is it fun acting?
I dread it, which is why I haven't done a ton of it. I think of all the things I've been lucky enough to do, that's the one that felt the most foreign, you know what I mean? The most unnatural. But
yeah. Why do you think that is? Because you're such a great performer, you can get up on stage.
I don't know. I think maybe I was made for the stage. I'm a little too big for the TV cameras, but you mentioned charm there. That was a lot of fun. A chance to work with Alyssa Milano and a great casting crew. So that's probably the pinnacle of my acting career. My little stint on Charmed.
Yeah. Now, when you started making music, how old were you?
So I had just left college. I was probably 21, 22. Oh. I mean, I grew up singing. I went to a performing arts high school in Ohio, and so I kind of grew up in the arts and music theater and singing. But professionally speaking, we got signed to Motown, I guess, when I was 22. So
wow,
yeah,
that's pretty much the place you want to get signed, Motown.
You know what? It felt like a huge honor for us, being especially four white kids from Ohio to be validated in our eyes by being signed to Motown, and we really kind of fashioned our group after Boyz II Men, who were also on Motown at the time, and really wanted to be we never really wanted to be a boy band per se. It was at that point, boy bands weren't even a thing. We wanted to be like a vocal harmony group, and so for us, Motown was like, that was the pinnacle.
Where did that term boy band come from? Because they didn't call the Beatles a boy band.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Boyz II Men weren't called a boy band, right? What?
Well, it's funny now they are. It's weird now Boyz II Men, you'll see them referred to as a boy band. And I think it probably came from Europe. It's such a bigger thing in Europe and in Southeast Asia and places like that. So boy bands never really went out of style in places like that. But here in the States, went through that grunge period in the early 90s, and boy band music was not a part of the landscape. And then I guess 97, 98, that kind of period in time, boy bands just kind of came back onto the scene, and we got swept up into that. Certainly never complained about it. It was a good place to be, but we never really wanted that necessarily to be our identity. It just kind of became who we were,
And then when that happened, there was sort of this boy band revolution in a way. There was the Backstreet Boys, there was New Kids on the Block, NSYNC. Did you have a competitive, was it competitive?
It was weird because I think we and Backstreet kind of came out at the same time, and NSYNC came out a little later. So we first met NSYNC in Europe. We were doing a tour with those guys and really bonded with them over there because we were on a completely European tour. We were the only Americans on the tour, and so we kind of gravitated to each other. So back in those days, I would say we were much better friends with the guys in NSYNC and had much more of a rivalry per se with the Backstreet Boys, which is silly when you look back on it.
How does that play out, the rivalry between 98?
Well,
was it sort of like
it played out? It played out this way, Tom. They made a lot more money than we did, and no, it was funny because you have this competitive. Like we had a black and white video that we were going to premiere on MTV, and maybe 3 weeks before ours, they came out with a black and white video. So it's like you look back on it, and everything was like life or death, right? You know what I mean?
You're like, you're taking our idea. Yeah.
It was all so heavy at the time, and you look back on it now, and it's just it's kind of humorous that we took it so seriously. But it's really you're trying to get discovered, you're trying to get your foot in the door, and every little thing is a big deal,
It's an exciting time when that explosive moment.
Yeah.
It was 99. You were on MTV too, right?
Yeah.
That's when I moved to MTV.
Yeah.
I was doing my show on a public access station in Canada. I'm pulling pranks on the street. My parents, they picked me up, moved me to New York, and all of a sudden, I was on MTV with 98 Degrees.
Shot out of a cannon.
Yeah. Was fame something that was, was that hard to adjust to? From Ohio.
Yeah. I mean, I think you want the success of being a successful, music group, and fame comes with that, but it's certainly an adjustment. I mean, I don't think any of the four of us were saying, "Hey, let's move to LA and be famous." We wanted to sing and wanted to sing for a living, but it definitely took adjusting to being in the public eye. I just look back on it and I think, thank God we didn't have social media and all the stuff we deal with in today's kind of celebrity world. Didn't have that back then, or it would have been a whole nother ball game.
There's this resurgence of '90s nostalgia right now. Is there? Do you know why this is happening? Why is there such a great resurgence?
First of all, thank goodness there is, because it's allowing us to still go out and do what we love to do. But I really think it was just a simpler time, a happier time. You know, it was pre 9/11. The world's just it's a lot heavier now than it was back then, seemingly.
Yeah.
So I think music has always taken people back to kind of where they were when they first heard that song, and I think there's a real, I guess, desire to go back and relive those memories and those moments, and it takes us all back to a time that just felt a little less heavy, a little looser, a little easier.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been fun for us, because having a chance to go and do it a second time around now, 22 years later, we approach it with a lot looser attitude, and we're appreciating it more, enjoying it more, maturity, hopefully, we're all in a better place, and it's just a lot more fun, frankly, than it was the first time around even,
You're still touring now?
We
all
are.
The time?
We are still
with
touring.
98 Degrees.
Yeah, we went out maybe 5 years ago. We finally got back together. We took a long break. I did some reality TV. I actually remember coming on your show with Dax Shepard.
Yes, that's right.
Way back in the day. I think we chugged a beer together.
Yeah, that
was definitely one of the highlights of my.
That was almost 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
Maybe 18 years ago. Yeah.
2002 or something. But so we got back together. We toured New Kids on the Block and Boys to Men on something called the Package Tour, and then we've kind of never looked back since. We've just kept going and kept touring. We did a Christmas record a couple years ago. We've done a couple holiday tours, and now we're out just doing kind of spot dates throughout North America. Still loving performing together, probably loving it more than ever, and again, thankful that our fans are still there and still want to come out and kind of take that walk down memory lane.
Yeah, and your father, 3 children.
I am.
Your wife, Vanessa. Mm-hmm. Is it hard to, tour and juggle all that, or?
It is, yeah. I think that's the reason that we're doing this kind of model now. We'll go out for the weekend, 2-3 shows, and then come home, and it still allows all of us. There's 3 of the 4 of us in the group that have kids, so it allows us to still be dad and be involved in taking them to school and be around for that stuff. When you go out on a full tour, and you're gone for weeks on end, it's really tough to, especially when your kids start getting old enough to kind of understand. All right, where's Daddy?
Yeah, I saw a video online. You did a video system. You were talking to your son with.
Yeah. This thing called it's called Caribou. It's pretty neat. You can actually read books to them, or it's almost like FaceTime with book reading capabilities.
That's a lot easier than having no contact.
Well, it is, but it's still, there's nothing like actually being there and taking them to the school bus in the morning. And I actually really enjoy those things, and you miss them when you're away. So being able to go out and do shows, come back in town, go out of town, come back in town, it's kind of worked best for everybody.
Your new show is America's Most Musical Family. Mm-hmm. You come from a musical family with your brother. I
do. Ironically, 98 Degrees would have been eligible to compete on this show, because you just had one sibling kind of relationship within the group. But I've had a chance, been very lucky to do a lot of different shows over the course of my career, but this particular one was probably one of the more fun experiences I've had, and just great talent. I mean, I went into it thinking we'd have some good groups, but it really kind of exceeded my expectation level on how talented these groups really were, and just a lot of fun. Great show to be around, great cast, great crew.
Different kinds of music? There's different genres of music?
Yes. In fact, speaking of Canadian music, we had actually a Celtic family band from Ontario.
Okay.
They lived all on a big ranch in Ontario, and
bagpipes and stuff. Or?
It was a lot of almost like river dancing, and
nice.
a lot of fiddle.
Yeah.
And, it was.
That's all it is in Canada.
Well, you know what? You do it well.
That's all we do.
If you're gonna do something, go for it and do it well.
River dancing and curling. It's like going back in time as soon as you get over the border.
And if you're really talented, you do them at the same time, curling while you. No, it was cool. It was everything from that to hip hop to to old school R&B. It ran the gamut in terms of musical styles. So there's definitely something for everybody. Really great performances. It's refreshing to be around people who approach music with such a great attitude, and they're just loving being there. They're loving performing together. They get out there on stage and give it their all. It was a lot of fun for me as a musician to be around. It kind of reminds you why you got started in music to begin with.
Yeah, we actually I interviewed Debbie Gibson recently. And we actually
love Debbie.
She's a judge.
She is. She's one of our 3 judges. Yep.
And we had her actually record a question for you or two. Let's take a look at that now.
It's like, I know when we did Dancing with the Stars together and we both performed in the finale, I looked off, you were doing some vocal warm-ups and stuff, but you seem to have one of these natural singing voices that I'm very jealous of, like you roll out of bed singing probably. So I'm just wondering what your vocal technique, vocal warm-up process is, or it just come quite naturally to you.
Wow.
Okay, yeah.
Let me speak first of the incredible career that she's had. You know, I got started so young, was so successful, and still to this day is an incredible singer, incredible performer. I was once co-hosting Live with Kelly in New York, and I was in the hotel walking down the hall to go to work, and had to be like 6 in the morning, and I hear someone on the piano warming up in their room, and the door opens, and it's Debbie Gibson.
Yeah.
I mean, that just speaks to the professionalism that she's maintained like throughout her career. She takes it very seriously, and you could tell the way she sings, she sounds fantastic. And I wish it was as effortless for me as she makes it sound, but I think especially the older we all get, the more you kind of have to work at keeping your voice, maintaining your voice. You know, obviously a lot of warm-ups and those things, and just trying to be as healthy as you can. But yeah, no, she's being very gracious with that question. But she's kind of the consummate professional in my mind, and the longevity of her career, speaks to that, and how incredibly professional and great she's been for so long.
So you do some sort of vocal warm-up, though? There's actually
like
technique
scales, all that stuff. I actually do that when I host too, because believe it or not, talking is harder on your voice than singing.
Yeah.
You do music, so when you sing, you actually are thinking about the right way to breathe and the right way to do things. And when you're talking, if I'm hosting a show, I don't think about that kind of stuff. So I tend to lose my voice more hosting and talking than I ever did singing.
So you do that in the morning? You do it backstage?
Yeah, in the shower in the morning. Just kind of, my kids hate it. Every time I'll be in the car doing scales, and I kind of do that to see, how's my voice feeling today, where I'm at. And my kids just say, "Daddy, please stop, please stop." They hate when I warm up.
Yeah.
In fact, they hate when I sing in general. It's kind of strange,
Yeah.
Like, what do you think's paying for this house? What do you send you to school, Daddy?
Singing
please,
bought this
please,
house.
Please stop.
Go to your room that the singing bought. Yeah.
But yeah, no, you just try and take care of yourself, take care of your voice.
Never miss a beat. Subscribe to Larry King now and watch new episodes every day.